Finally, the long-awaited trailer for episode number 5 of the amazing digital circus has been released. Along with it, the release date has been confirmed, which is pretty close compared to previous episodes. Today, we'll review in detail all the spoilers that have been leaked in this trailer. And with the help of editing magic, we'll unveil all the curiosities that are coming for this new episode. And trust me, the last curiosity is the most disturbing, and I wasn't expecting it. Leave me this emoji in the comment box, and you'll also be waiting for the premiere of the highly anticipated episode 5 of the amazing digital circus, so I can greet you in my next video. Let's get started. The trailer begins with a camera pointing directly at the wall. This really reminds me of the recording studios we saw in episode 1. That moment when we saw Pomni go through several doors until she reached what appeared to be recording and video scripting offices. Something quite suspicious, because apparently the digital circus won't have a second season, so at any moment we might see the last episode of the series. Apparently, Kane opens the door forcefully while shouting fiercely, "Bubble! Thank God you're here!" in which he mentions that he apparently forgot to make the trailer for this episode. Something quite parodic and funny, since this is the series that has made Glitch the most money. And I don't even want to talk about that weird zombie project. That didn't work out, and they preferred to release it before CIRCUS. Kane also mentions that he has a flight to Copper 9 and leaves in the next 5 minutes. Something quite strange, since he can teleport anywhere. I searched the internet fiercely, but I really couldn't find what Kane meant when he said Copper 9. So if you understand this wordplay or this reference, leave me a comment down there so we can all know too. So for this reason, Bubble has been in charge of making this new trailer. We start with letters generated in a pretty old video editor called Movie Maker. This is a reference to the first video. Editors that were created for the first home computers that came to market in the 20th century. If you also understood this reference, it's because you're getting old, so comment down there if it also made you laugh. Then we start to see many quick and blurry scenes. We also discover that the next episode will apparently be called The Great Gassiel District, a pretty peculiar name that I couldn't understand. But then we see a scene where Gangle appears, and apparently she's at the baseball stadium wearing a purple cap, and I think she's about to throw the ball. This confirms that episode 5 will possibly be in a city generated by Kane's artificial intelligence. And apparently this time is so complex that it has a baseball stadium. We might see fragments from the previous episode about the restaurant again. In the next scene, we can see Pomni practically melted in an executive chair along with many documents on the table. It's very likely that in this episode, Pomni will be the administrator in charge of making everyone work and keeping everything running, just like Gangle was in the last episode. In the next fragment, we can see Jax quickly hitting something that appears to be another character. And honestly, I hope that's not the case, because Jax is a very unpopular character since he's quite rude and violent. So this would cost him even more points. As we saw in another spoiler, Jax will have a weapon again, and I hope he won't use it this time either. This other scene was quite strange to me. I think it's Kinga, and he's falling into the void. I don't know. What do you think? In the next scene, we can see that the characters have lost their color. This is Jax, and along with Pomni, they apparently are enjoying some drinks at a bar. In previous episodes, Jax hadn't gotten so close to Pomni, so it's very likely that he's falling in love or feeling attraction toward her. Then follow a couple of pretty senseless scenes, and in one of them, we can see Kane in the circus. In the next scene, we see Ragatha wearing a pretty sexy dress and with a totally different personality than what we were used to seeing from her. I think this will be the most disturbing episode of the entire season. Next, we see how the characters are absorbed by a vortex that's generated at the top of the circus tent. I think this will be the new portal we'll see in this episode, generated by Kane to send his characters to a new dimension. We also see another scene in which we see all the characters in 2D format, An old and pretty beautiful format that they apparently took from the fan club, which continuously uploads 2D designs. I still don't understand why our characters are without colors, but in this scene we confirm that Jax will also have a lot of participation and will be left without colors. It might be a reference to a movie like Sin City, which takes place in a black and white universe. In the next scene, we can see Pomni for the first time without wearing her jester hat. And apparently she has a cap that represents the circus, but I couldn't see what it says on top. I don't think Kane will participate in this adventure, since apparently he'll have a separate adventure in another dimension, which is totally white. Again, we see a scene where our dear Pomni appears with an executive suit and is trying to cut the wires of something that apparently is a bomb. I can't think of another hypothesis for this scene. Also, in another scene, we can see that Zubul will go on the adventure again. This is the second time we see her participate, since she normally prefers to stay in the circus. And we also confirm that this will be the baseball stadium episode we saw in the trailer, which was unfinished and Kane was trying to hide. We also see a pretty important scene in which other totally different characters appear, but similar to our digital gang. Something like characters from another universe where all the colors are totally different. And also with their gestures, we can see that each one has an individual personality. Most likely, our characters lose their color because they lost the baseball game. And that's one of the punishments. We can also see our characters in a place that seems to be the White House. Or what do you think? And this confirms that most likely Pomni will take the role of being the president of this artificial universe. They also highlight that they're only waiting for 101 views on their premiere, a pretty pessimistic but pretty common comment in this amazing digital circus. Strangely, we see that Pomni has many seaweed around her, so probably our little clown will go for a walk to the beach. And in another scene, we can see Kane in something that seems to be the void. I can't find another name for this. This episode will definitely be quite strange for everyone and will reveal things we haven't seen before. We can also see that Zubul will be the person who serves the guys at the bar, something quite curious. Since this series is creative focused on children, but at the same time it's psychological horror and deals with quite adult themes. This other scene where we see Jax posing in front of a sign that says paradise. I don't know what reference it makes, and I also cannot understand what it says at the top, so if you figure it out, leave a comment and explain it to all of us. We can also see Zubul at the White House with dark glasses, most likely covering the role of bodyguard. I really like being able to see that Zubul will finally start participating in the circus. In the next scene, we can see how Kane is talking through a microphone. This makes me understand that we will see him participating with the characters in this new universe, just like we saw him participating in the restaurant from the previous episode. This purple environment really reminds me of when the characters visited the Glowing Queen's universe. In this other scene, we can also see that Pomni will have a lot of work for this episode and many responsibilities, since Gangle brings her a complete mountain of documents. And again, we see our purple rabbit, who is now gray, receiving something that seems to be corn on the cob, or at best gold coins that represent something quite strange, since money isn't necessary in this universe. And it seems like that's the new type of key we'll see that our hacker rabbit has. We also see many scenes in which we have Jax and our little clown together, so most likely some kind of bond will finally be confirmed between them. I don't know, guys. I feel like a romance is forming here. Again, we see the portal and its color. Apparently this time you can see more inside, something quite peculiar compared to previous episodes. We also see that Gangle will break her mask again. Most likely this will be seen at the end of the episode, so we'll see her smiling for most of this episode. We can also notice that Gangle has the ability to smile despite having the sad mask. Something quite positive for her. These have been all the curiosities I managed to notice in this preview of the trailer for episode 5 of the amazing digital circus. If I've overlooked any curiosities, remember to leave them down in the comment box. And if you made it to the end of this video, leave me this emoji so I can greet you in the next video. Until next time, friends.